Hi, comic book fans, and welcome to another SundayComics.com video. It's a Monday night, and we are going to be looking at Pollock's picks. Allan has been scouring the sales on Heritage to find you the top sales of the week in the Silver Age category. We did 5 on Allan's channel. Virtually all of them have come down. So very similar to DC. Allan's sort of saying, oh well, they're on the long-term trend, they're down, right? So we're going to crack on, have a look at 5 more big ones. Allan's favorites are on here, I'm fairly sure of it. So let's have a look at my screen, and we're going to start off by looking at, oh, here we go, X-Men 1.
Nice big book.
Nice.
And by the way, this is there's something to note about this one. This is not a blue label.
Right.
This is a conserved grade.
Gray.
Yeah, gray label means that it's conserved. So it's a 5/5 conserved. So whenever you see a conserved grade, that means that it's professionally restored, really, at the end of the day. Generally, a conserved book is worth about half the value of a blue label.
Full blue. So wait a minute. So what's the difference between a conserved and a restored?
So there's actually 3 different levels of restoration: A, B, C. And A is professional restoration, B is like moderately professional, and C is amateur. Well, there's actually 1 tier above that, which is conserved. Conserved is very professional restoration, where it's generally things that are done that do not that can be potentially removed. I mean, there are things within conserved which can't be redone, but it's considered almost like archival in terms of the
so in this case,
type of restoration.
In this case, the staples have been replaced. So
yeah. And generally, in a conserved version, when the staples are replaced, it's usually staples replaced with contemporary staples.
Yeah.
So where we get the purple label is if you took the staples and then replaced it with staples that are just modern, get your staples that are out and stapled away. So this is a little bit different. So it's just staples replaced on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so very, very moderate level of conservation.
Very moderate.
So that might
really
make even
look at the staples.
Yeah, but I did a video where I saw the staples were worth a few $1,000s on some books. So you never know.
So X-Men 1 5.5. We don't have a conserved grade. Oh yes, we do. Conserved here.
Yeah, we can compare it to other conserved, and we can actually compare it to the blue labels and see how it performed.
So we're going 5.5 against other conserved.
Probably doesn't come up that often, but let's see if it did. Yeah, it's just it's up. But does it sell that often? No. When was the last sale?
It's only the second one that's ever sold. The last one was in 2015, so it's done all right. Over 8 years, it's trebled in value.
Yeah. So that's it's nicer when we get more sales to look at. Yeah. But
now let's look at the blue.
But actually, just before you switch over, that trend line is really what we would have seen for all books. If there was no COVID bump, if there was no craziness in the market, and it was much more just like, let's look at 2 points here and then 10 years ago, you'd see that just nice line.
Yeah.
So this one kind of shows that. Let's look at the blue label now.
No, well, okay, yes, you're right. It's about half price. So one of these sell for 17,000. So that's about half the price. I think that's a really good deal for half the price, just because the staples have been replaced.
Yeah. Usually conserved grades get about 50%. Consistently, I see that. The funny thing is, restoration can actually get higher value than conserved.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I've seen with restoration getting like in the really, really low grades, it's 80%. And in the higher grades, it may be 60%. And the super high grades, then restoration gets really low prices. And then conservation starts doing better. So at the high grades, conservation performs better than restoration. Um, but for the most part, uh, restoration actually performs better, strangely. So if you look,
Well,
wow,
the last restored one of these sold for 14,000.
see what I'm saying?
That doesn't make
Like
sense.
it doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm saying it's a really weird phenomenon.
I mean, this was in COVID peak, to be honest.
Yeah, but still, you'll notice that generally conserved does not as well as it's almost like a rule of thumb, 50%. Whereas the restored, it could be as much as 80 on the low grades and around 60 for the mid grades. So it'll slightly perform better as a restored book.
Dear, oh dear.
And
Right.
and there is a reason for that. Generally people think with the restoration, and it depends on what type of restoration it is, that they can maybe reverse it. They almost have that feeling. And so you'll get that kind of weird effect where people think, oh, okay, maybe I can get 1 grade point knock by removing the restoration.
Yeah.
And so that's why restoration sometimes will outperform conservation.
Okay. All right. Interesting one. It was interesting. Right. Oh, here we go.
Another big book. Amazing Spider-Man #1 for
Indeed.
$12,000 or
4.5.
4.5. Oh, we should always mention the census counts, by the way. But
yeah, where are we going? Amazing Spider-Man 4.5.
3,000 on the census, almost 4,000. Actually, 4,700 on the census. Yeah. It's right around normal.
Oh, this appears to have come down a bit. Yeah.
Not too bad, actually. It's not the big bumps that we've seen on some books.
Right.
Well, what was the peak? Around 16,000?
Peak was around 23,500.
Wow. So actually, this is down 50%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But I mean, we were seeing books down like 70%. So yeah.
It's all relative. Yeah. It's all relative.
Yeah. I still would not want to lose $12,000 on a comic.
No.
Wow.
And it's all very well saying, well, I'm a long-term holder, but I'm not sure I've got long enough left to live to see the price come back on this.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take before this hits 23,000?
I think it's going to be probably another 5 years.
At least.
That's kind of sad. Oh, well. So yeah. So this one, has a pretty steady trend line if you look at it. It's probably back on that trend line now. But yeah, if you bought during COVID, oh, painful. Painful.
Dear, oh dear. I feel so sorry for the people who own this. Not right. Allan, you've got one of these, haven't you? Raw. I don't think you paid very much for it, though, did you?
No, I didn't pay that much. I got it actually when there was an auction that just people weren't paying attention to.
Yeah.
Mine's a 5.0, I think. Mine's a 5.0 restored.
Yeah.
And I paid less than 3,000 for it.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So I bought mine all like all my Silver Age and Bronze Age and all that kind of stuff I bought before COVID.
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah, so you're okay. So you're not losing money probably, right?
Yeah, no, all my books have generally gone up. I'm pretty good actually, strangely.
Good. Well, you're a clever buyer, mate. Right, here we go. Oh, we keep seeing this one. This keeps appearing.
We love Paste Pot Pete. So
people love Paste Pot Pete.
Yeah, so this is Strange Tales number 110, the first appearance of Doctor Strange, and a really ugly cover. I do not like this cover. I never liked this cover
But look, he's
personally.
holding his invincible paste pot gun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
look there. There's the invincible paste pot gun.
And it just makes you sticky and you can't move. That's what it does. Really awesome weapon. But I did, after getting this book, have to go out and get the first appearance of Paste Pot Pete, which, you know, is also a cool book. Actually, the first appearance of Paste Pot Pete,
Paste pot.
Pete, nice alliteration, is actually a cooler cover. It's actually a better cover. But
Anyway,
yeah.
enough about paste pot Pete. How is this? So
this is 8.5.
It's 8.5 for 14.4. This is, of course, guys, the first Doctor Strange. He doesn't appear on the cover. It's not about Pastepot Pete. It's about Doctor Strange. Don't listen to Allan. He's trying to distract you with tales about the first appearance of Pastepot Pete. It is not. This is the first appearance of Doctor Strange. I've now forgotten what grade it was.
It's 8.5.
8.5. And 8.5. Here we go. Oh, COVID blip.
Yeah. And this looks like it's still on a downward trend. Like it's sharply down.
That 14.4 there is that one. So this, yes, that is still coming down. Yes, come down since June. Yeah, oh dear.
And what was the peak on this one?
28,000 just about. So we're about half price again.
Half price again. So from what I can see, like if like based on like this whole kind of guessing how much books are going to come down to in order to correct themselves, it seems like 60 to 70% off whatever the peak price is where the floor is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if it's only down 50%, it actually probably has more room to go down, which is
I just could have
kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think this might get down to even 11,000, which
yeah,
is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So yeah. So don't buy this one, people. Not
No,
yet.
steer away from Pastepot Pete and his paste gun. Right.
Yeah. Okay, and is this the last one?
No, one more after this.
Oh, okay, one more. Okay, so this is Journey into Mystery 83, the first appearance of Thor. And it's a great cover. This is what you want as a first appearance. Just a cool cover. Like, you know, him swinging the hammer and killing all these guys jumping down.
It's interesting, isn't it? Largely his design was there from the start. You know, you can see the little on his chest and everything, and his helmet. And he's not exactly right, but it's not bad, is it? You know, given that was his first appearance, it's the design has held through.
Yeah, and the whole swinging of the hammer.
Yeah.
That's, you know, what we associate with him.
Yeah.
Though actually, you know what's funny? If you think about it, like just as a physics mind looking at this, you can't actually swing the hammer in a circle like that if you're holding it with both hands.
You can if you're Thor.
You know, how do you do that? Like, there's no way.
Yeah, but he's a god, isn't he?
Usually when he does it, he has it like sort of like,
hangs
on the rope,
on
the strap, and then he can swing it. But you can't actually swing it like that.
Yeah.
So I just picked out a major flaw that everyone's going to see now.
I'd like to have been a fly on the wall when you walked into Jack Kirby and had that discussion with him.
Yeah, I'd probably be dead now. But this book is an interesting one because it's 83, right? It's not like issue 1. It's like it's a mid, just like the Doctor Strange, which was 110. You know, it's like kind of one of those weird later issues. So I don't think many people would have held this one. I think it will have a lower census count.
I would have thought so. Let's have a look. Yeah, only 2, 3.
Yeah, about half.
Yeah.
So and
Uh,
that's what happens when you get it in that mid-run kind of situation.
16.8 for a 6.0.
That's really down, I know. Yeah, I know this book. 6,000, sixteen
Oh, yeah.
thousand.
16.8. Yeah, it is low. Look at this. Pew!
Wow, there's a big bump there. Um, what
Somebody
is
paid 32,000 for this. This is down to 50% as well.
yeah, and actually probably has a little bit more room to go down just
I
based on the
think it
trend lines.
has. Yeah, I think so. Don't
Uh,
buy this one either. Stay away from first Doctor Strange and first Thor.
it has a bit of room. I would say maybe have another 10% to go
Yeah,
down.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. The pain just doesn't end. But it actually looks like it's kind of leveling off, but it still, I think, it still has room to go down.
Yeah, and haven't we? I mean,
Um,
again, we've not got a Thor thing happening, have we?
yeah, I mean, they did at the, I believe at the end of the last Thor movie, they did say he's coming back.
Oh, yeah, okay, but
Um,
as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in production.
yeah, I don't think anything in the near future.
No.
Um, so yeah, so very interesting one.
Okay, and then Alan's favorite comic.
This is my bellwether. You know, the one that I use to determine how the market is performing. So Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean
Great,
that's like using the
great curve.
that's like using the Mona Lisa to judge the art market.
Yeah, that's what I do. Isn't that how it's done?
Okay, so we've got a fairly ropey copy of Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, it's pretty beat looking. And this is the most expensive book, and it's a really beat up copy of Amazing Spider
Yeah, you could have got
Fantasy.
this pot Pete for more less money, right?
Yeah.
What did this sell for? 20,000 of your juicy American dollars. Uh,
So
that comic.
for 2-0. So if you think about it, it's about $10,000 per point.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see how it performed. I know that this one was up to 30,000 at one point. I'm pretty sure for 2-0.
Oh, it was at more than that, mate. It was at 40.
Wow. So again, back down to that 50,
Actually,
50% down.
peak was 41, nearly 42,000.
41. Wow.
So this is down
So,
by half as well.
and again, still slightly above the trend line, I would say.
Yeah. It depends where you start your trend.
Yeah, it depends. Like it's really hard to say. If you go back to like maybe 2016 era, right around there,
Yeah, I
and
think
then you follow that,
it's a bit
maybe
high.
it'd be on that line.
Well, 8.5 up to, I think it's still a bit high. I think this could drop a bit more.
Mm, well, but yeah. So you know, maybe a good time to you know, maybe get this for around 18,000, 19,000.
Yeah. I think this might come down to 15 or 16.
Really? I don't think it'll get that low. We'll
Okay.
see
Well,
though. We'll see.
we have
We'll
this.
test ourselves out
Yeah,
later.
we have this every other week or so. So
Yeah, we'll see it. That's why it's good to track. It's like a nice one. I love it. I just love like you know tracking these things, seeing how they perform over time. Um, this one, like I always want people to know the census count for this one. Like this one has a lot of books on the census. If you go up,
yeah.
it's like 3,700. It's a fairly common book, but there's just the demand. It's just a you know every Spider-Man collector will want this book.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the long term, you'll be okay. It's don't buy during you know pandemics is the advice that I have to give.
What we really need for the comic market then, Alan, is another global pandemic.
Yeah, I just oh we're saved. Okay,
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, this book, yeah, I think it was like personally, just this is like my opinion. Take it with whatever way you want to take it, but there was a point where there was a group of investors buying comics, and what they were doing was they were buying big keys,
Yeah.
high grade.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened with this book. It had that record sale, $3.6 million, and I think it was a group of investors buying it, and they way overpaid. They just wanted to have a big book that they could say, "Hey, look, investors, we have this big book, and it's going to go up." And I think what that did was it came down through all the grades. People were like, "Oh my goodness, amazing fantasy! It's almost impossible to get at a good price." And then it just influenced that one sale influenced the whole entire market for amazing fantasy. And now what we're seeing is a correction of that. Not just COVID bump, but that big sale.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're probably right. Well, there we go, guys. At least my wearing my DC hat, I can go yeah, yeah, yeah. In a
How
very,
about like
in a very
which was where I think DC only was down maybe 25
yeah, but
to
it didn't have as
40%.
much of a COVID blip.
Yeah,
So I wasn't expecting it to have much.
as much of a drop. Yeah.
Whereas these Marvel ones had a significant COVID blip. And largely, I think you're right. Most of these are coming back to their trend line.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But I think most of those still got a bit to go. I would hold off buying these at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the DC ones, I think probably are worth buying.
Yeah, I mean, there's a correction that happened for DC that probably wasn't even deserved. You know what I mean? It corrected even though it didn't need to correct for some of the books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a good buying opportunity in my mind. That there's this false correction, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
comic book fans, that is it for this week. Watch next week as Allan searches out some more gems from the Silver Age sales for us to dissect and comment upon. This week, we have learnt the difference between a restored comic and a conserved comic. Not understood the differences of. So that's it. That's your lot. See ya again soon.